And good evening to everyone who's watching. And this is Codebase Alpha, broadcasting to you from the outer reaches of outer space. And today we are going to continue with our work on our Alexa skill. Now, the Alexa skill, as it stands so far, basically we can ask Alexa to open our skill, and it will just give back a message. It will say, "Welcome to the DevStream skill." And well, I've had this installed now on my own Amazon Echo device, and I notice when I give the invocation of open live coding or open or launch live coding, then it does come back with that response, but it also comes back with an error. It says something went wrong with the skill. So we need to have a look at why it's doing that. Also, there's a few naming issues with some of the classes that we created last time, and I want to correct those, and also the methods, just try to sort that out. So we'll start off by looking at the names of our methods. Now, one of the things I wanted to do with the library we're building is to create a easy to use builder to build the responses, so we don't have to know the structure of a Alexa response to create one using the library. And the first thing I can see is we've got this. The builder is actually called skill response, and that's very similar to Alexa response here, and it's not particularly useful name. It doesn't describe what it is. So we're going to change that name. The first thing I'm going to do is change the name of that class. It's called skill response over here, so I'm just going to rename that, and we're going to call it response builder. Basically, that gives it a better name because it tells you what it does. It's a builder class. It's using the builder pattern to create our response output. So let's just complete that rename. Okay, so that's renamed it everywhere. So let's go and have a look inside the response builder. Now, we've got this add text to speech, and it's not particularly expressive of what we're trying to get the builder to do. We actually want Alexa to say something, and we have to be aware that at some point we want Alexa to ask people something and expect a response, and this is where the error that the Echo comes back with is stemming from, really. So I'm going to rename this method. I'm actually going to just call it say, and then we're going to have some more methods which are going to be basically ask methods a bit later on. So we're going to go back and fix up now our controller. So this is simply say, and I think it really makes it more expressive, really, that we're creating a response builder and then we're saying say something. So now to this matter of when I plug in my own Echo device and ask it to open the live coding skill, it does come back, as I say, with the welcome to the DevStream skill, but then it follows up with an error. It says that the skill had an invalid response, and I've had a quick look into this, and this is because when we ask Alexa to say something, we're not expecting that session, that kind of dialogue to continue. We want to end the session there once it's said something. Whereas when we have an ask scenario, we're asking it, and then we're expecting a response back from the user, and then we're going to go produce some more speech in response to that kind of that dialogue. Then we don't want to end the session. The session carries on, and basically the slots, if they have not been filled, can be filled in gradually. So you could, for example, say if you're expecting the name of a streamer and say a week. So you might say, when is Dev Chatter streaming next week, like a when slot, as well as a streamer or channel slot. Then if you haven't filled in one of the slots, you can get the Alexa system to say, you asked about Dev Chatter, when do you want to know if you're streaming? So next week, next month, next year, whatever. So that's when you can have this kind of dialogue going on. Now, probably won't get as far as that this evening, actually having a dialogue, but what I did want to do is fix up this error that we're getting coming back when you use the actual Echo. And if we go back to our response builder as we've renamed it, if we go and actually what we'll do is go and have a look at the actual responses. So the text output response, we filled that in correctly, but if you look at the Alexa response, we had this response body, which is we need to kind of have a look at that, and the response body contains this should end session. So we need to set this to true if that's the end of the conversation as far as the Alexa device is concerned. And that's what we want to do when we say something. When we ask a question back to the user, then this should be set to false, which is of course its default value. And that's why we're getting the error at the moment. Should end session is actually being sent as a false Boolean value, and the Alexa is expecting something to happen, some more conversation to go on. So we'll go back to our response builder here, and in the response here we're going to set that value to false. So if we just do that immediately underneath, so response, not response, that should end session. Oops. And if you, I don't know if you heard that in the background, my Echo actually said something then, so it's actually listening in on what we're saying. So I'm not having much luck with spelling at the moment. So let me just correct the spellings. So that's should end session. We're going to set that to true. And this is where we get one of the advantages of using the builder pattern. Really, is we don't have to, as users as consumers of the library that we're going to build, we are starting to build. You don't actually have to know all these details. They're all kind of encapsulated away, and it's basically a way of hiding the structure of the response from the consumer of the library, so they can just concentrate on what they want to do and tell it what to do. It does mean that it can be a bit complicated sorting out the actual coding of this this builder, but it shouldn't be too difficult in the end. Okay, so now we've got that that fixed and our rename. We shouldn't get that error. So I can't really get you to hear that at the moment because the Alexa's in a different room, and at some point I will bring an extension cable out and plug it in and try and get close to the mic, and we can actually use the actual device, because I think the device itself is actually more accurate, more responsive, and more it picks up the subtleties of your voice better than using the test. Hello Knight, welcome to the stream, good to see you. Thank you for the follow, by the way, that you dropped me a couple of days ago. That actually was the follow that hit our goal. You can see now we're at 51, a new goal of 100 followers, and that 50 follower goal meant that we actually did achieve Twitch affiliate. So you'll notice there's a few changes to the chat. We've got our cheer window there as well, and we have the ability for people to subscribe. Now I've got some emotes and badges for subscribers being created. The emote is actually up there, I think it must be validated by. Thank you for the congratulations, Knight. Thank you. It has to be validated by Twitch, but the badge is still being drawn by an artist. So hopefully get that tomorrow, and we'll be able to have some subscriber badges. We're having an initial badge just to make sure that the artwork looks okay. Then I can commission some more versions of that. So yeah, I'm really pleased, and thank you for everyone who did follow and help me achieve that goal. We're still trying to find a good slot for the second stream. So Monday at this time, following Dev Chatter's stream, is probably going to be a fixed slot going forward. This one I was hoping to actually do a Wednesday stream, but it didn't quite work out with work, and so I decided to stream today. But I had to be pretty careful not to tread on Gareth Hubbell's toes, because I don't want to to distract or cross over with him. So that's why we're kind of a late stream on a Thursday. So this won't be a usual time. We might have an early stream on Thursdays, sorry, on Wednesdays, and the late stream from a UK perspective will be on the Monday. But so we're still trying to nail down that schedule. Okay, so let's get back to a bit of coding. So let's go over to the Alexa skill kit area on the Amazon site. I've made the screen a bit bigger, so hopefully you can see it okay. We'll go over to the Alexa skill kit area. Oops, there we go. And we'll go and edit our skill. So I just want to show the people who maybe have not seen it. See, Sniper Noob, hi, welcome, good to see you. So welcome to Codebase Alpha. We are thank you for the follow, that's very, very kind of you. So yes, we're on our way now to our second goal of 100 followers, and I've got quite a generous time span on that one, because I think getting to the first 50, we got there quite quickly, really, in the span of just 5 episodes. I think getting to the next 50 can be much more challenging, and so thank you very much for the follow. That's really appreciated. As I was saying, if you don't really know much about Codebase Alpha, the idea of the stream is to be a beginner-friendly stream, not a learn-to-code stream, but one where we take things basically from scratch. So we don't assume any knowledge. We learn together if we have to, and also that we build things from scratch. We don't necessarily just import an Alexa library and just implement a skill, which you could probably do very quickly. What I want to do is show you actually building the library. So if we just pop back over to our project for a brief moment, you can see we've got our web API here, this Alexa SMB Alexa web project, which is in .NET Core 2.2, ASP.NET Core, and we have our controller over here, which we'll look at in a moment. But the other thing we're building is this Alexa library. And what we did is we actually started the streams off in episodes 4 and 5 by building out the actual request and the response. So we've still got a way to go with these request and response, because there's a lot of classes, and we actually we used a few tools to help us build those, but we had to intervene because the paste JSON as classes tool that we used from, I think it's called QuickType, it does a great job, but it doesn't always get things right, not exactly right anyway. And so we've kind of tweaked those a bit, and we've started to build out the response. And what we've got on the response at the moment, if you look over here on this side, you can see we've got some text output, some text speech. We've got some SSML speech, and we've got 2 cards. The cards are kind of visual output, which Alexa can kind of display on anything with a screen. So I think there's an Echo Spot which has a screen, and also your phone or your tablet or anything which has an Alexa app on it can also display some text, and even an image. So we're going to kind of take care of that as well. So things we haven't done yet is deal with dialogues, and we might not deal with dialogues this evening. Got a few other things planned to do, but we do want to do those in the end, especially when we start getting into the conversational side of it. There's a whole interaction design we need to do. Gareth raiding with a party of 5. Hold the line, everybody. Thank you, Gareth, for the raid, much appreciated. Enjoyed your stream. I had to have some family time, so I wasn't through the whole thing. Gareth, you'll notice you've got a diamond there next to your badge. I made you a VIP, so thank you for your support. Oh, you got timed out by what did you do? Did you post something? Spamming emotes. Oh, I'll have to turn that down to make sure it doesn't. Yes, of the coffee break emotes. Sorry about being timed out there. You did 4. Yeah, well, I'll sort Nightbot out. Obviously, this is a new thing. Nightbot is probably turned up to the max, and I need to relax it for VIPs. and for mods when I get a mod. So yeah, where was I? Yes, what we want to do in this stream really is to add a bit of security to the system, and also maybe start to look at the certification requirements. What we don't want to do is to go too far, build a lot of functionality, and then find when we start to try and look at the certification requirements of the Amazon impose upon skills, that it all breaks, and we spent lots of time trying to fix that. And when we can address that early, then we can get into the more interesting part of actually give you the kick, good one. Then we can get into the more interesting part of actually coding up this interaction design, and that's where I'll need the help of the people in chat to start coming up with some of the kind of questions we can ask, and making sure they're covered off by the DevStreams database, and then start to look at how we're going to actually integrate with DevStreams, because that's the ultimate purpose of this project. Is not just to create an Alexa skill for fun, although it is kind of a fun thing to do. It's actually to get an Alexa skill published upon available to download onto your Echo, and then to tie it in with the DevStreams project which DevChat is running. And if you don't know, DevStreams is a community website which will enable dev streamers to upload information about their schedule for their live coding streams, and enable users to go and search for live coders at any time. So they can go and say, well, who's coding now? Or I'd like to watch a live code on Wednesday. Who's going to be streaming? They can search by tags. So if they want, I think DevChatter uses the example, if they want someone who's doing .NET Core with React.js, they can look at those tags and find these people. And so we want to be able to support that with a kind of a voice interaction as well. The name of the site, the DevChatter site's called DevStreams. It's not live. It's still in development. If you want to follow its development, then you want to follow DevChatter on Twitch. So if we give a shout out to DevChatter. Oops. So that's DevChatter. I think I've spelt that correctly. So if you go over to that site there and follow DevChatter, he's on episode 177, so he's a vastly experienced live streamer. Whereas this is episode 6, so he's got 170 more streams under his belt. So it's a very professional stream. He's got a webcam. I haven't got a webcam yet, so which is why we don't have a webcam. So I do apologise for that. It is on the list, a nice HD webcam and some kind of key light, and we're going to have to move all the washing from behind me because I've got lots of washing and things in the room that I'm streaming from. So it's not. It wouldn't be a great sight for you if I put a webcam up now, and there's no real reason for having. I can't depend a sheet or anything like that. So eventually a green screen. FuelSnap you like without a webcam, yeah, and it's a bit different, I suppose. Most people have a webcam. You get more engagement with the viewers, I think, with the webcam. But whether you want to look at my ugly mug, I don't know. It might distract you from the content of the stream. Okay, so we were just about to go over to the Amazon site, and this is our skill. So we've got a very basic interaction model built so far. Basically, it doesn't do an awful lot. So we've got a channel slot, and slot is like a variable which we can use. So it's going to be the name of the channel, and we're going to have to play around with that quite a bit. So I was thinking that we could have a quick look at that, and also in terms of the intents that can be produced. We've covered so far what we call a launch intent, and then a skill intent. And the skill intent is where the smart bit comes in, and the launch intent is when you say open the name of the skill. And then we've got these built-in intents over here, which we can have to kind of handle: the fallback, the cancel intent, the help, the stop, and the navigate home intent. So we need to code those in. So I think we'll do that part today as well. But what we'll do initially is to have a look at the test site over here, and we'll try to see if the test site's going to be friendly to us today, because it can be a bit temperamental. I have tried this with my own Echo and it works every time, but sometimes it doesn't work for us well here. So Fuel Snowball, you avoid using webcams because you reach the age only the way you can look good. Yeah, if you keep respectable distance from the person talking to. Well, I know where you're coming from. I don't know how old people think I am, but you know, I used punch cards when I was at university to program our mainframe in Fortran. So you can probably guess I'm not a young person, and so maybe not the most pleasant to look at. Okay, so let's have a quick go with this, with our skill. We're going to just press the mic, and we're going to say open live coding, which is the utterance which invokes our skill. The skill is called dev streams. We did play around with using dev streams as the invocation phrase. It didn't work. It thought it couldn't get dev very well, and streams it thought was dreams. So yeah, we're playing around with what the invocation phrase is. We did try live coders as well, but actually Jeff Fritz and his live coder team, live coders, that's the name of the team on Twitch, so I didn't want to kind of step on their toes too much. So live coding it is at the moment. So let's give this a quick go. Alexa, open live coding.
Welcome to the dev stream skill.
So it worked, and not only did, I don't know if you actually heard Alexa speak over the stream. Is it quite quiet? Because I will turn it up. Okay, let's try that again. So see if you can. Would someone tell if you can hear Alexa speaking over the stream? If you can't, then never mind. But you can see it did respond. Let's try that again. Alexa, open live coding. So that's really interesting in that the tester didn't respond. It said no content. Yet my own Amazon Echo in the background did respond. I'm a bit older than you, is this? Yes, I'm a bit older than you. My first internet connection was over a 1024 baud modem, which sat on the kitchen table along next to a 286 tower system with a Hercules graphics card in it and a green screen monitor. And yeah, we had to sit there and it would squeak and squawk, and then we'd connect to internet BBS sites. Yeah, if you know what those are, they were what we had before. We had much in the way of World Wide Web. We didn't have websites. If we did have websites, they were text websites. Yeah, the Hercules graphics card. It was a green screen kind of graphics card. It was the bee's knees for the time, all I can say. And then VGA color came out, and then that was the end of that. But yeah, green screen was the way. It was all that way. So it's interesting that it responded there, no content. Let's try again, because say the Echo did respond. So I say the Echo itself is a much better device. Yeah, amber screen. I've never used an amber screen. Quite sexy amber screen, really, wouldn't it? Yeah, I like the idea. Let's try this again anyway. Alexa, open live coding. No, so it's not picking up. Yeah, once again the Echo in the background picked it up. And it'll also throw an error in a second, which it just did. So there's a problem with the requested skill response. So what I want to do really now is just to publish our website, and to make sure that that error, when it says there's a problem, goes away with us setting this should end session flag to true when we're just saying stuff. So I'm going to do. I'm going to build this, and then we're going to right-click publish. Shove it up to Azure, and hopefully that will sort out that error. So we'll right-click publish, and off it goes to Azure. So one of the things that we've got an issue with at the moment with the site as well is that in theory any anybody else's Alexa skill could land on our endpoint and invoke our skill. So don't worry about it saying the 404. It's only because there's nothing at that in that root website there. If I type in API/values, it will come back with some text. It should say value 1, value 2, which it does, and that's because that is the if we build a out of the box web API project with .NET Core, you get this value controller out of the box, and you can see it's just got some default HTTP verbs in there. And if you give it the command of you send values to it with a get, then you get value 1, value 2 back. So that just it's actually working. Okay, so we published that up there. Let's go back to our test console here, and we'll try again. And if it comes back with no content on this, I'll listen out to the echo and tell you if it actually still throws the error after responding with the welcome message. So let's go try this again. Alexa, open live coding.
There was a problem with the requested skills response.
That's really interesting. The test said there was a problem, and the echo in the background didn't. It responded with our welcome message and didn't throw the error. So let's try once more. I think that this, maybe with this microphone and it being the test application, it's not quite picking up my voice correctly. So let's try once more. If this continues to be a problem, what I'll do, after a short while of streaming, what I'll do is put a B right back up and actually arrange and get the echo on my desk, so that we can listen to that instead, because it sounds like it's much more reliable. Let's try once more. Alexa, open live coding.
Welcome to the dev stream skill.
So there we go. It responded this time, and so I had to kind of pronounce it quite slowly, I think. So we've got somewhere. So let's go back to the the build area, and you can see that we've got some built-in intents here, which we're going to need to handle back in our web API, and we've also got to deal with our intent request. So let's have a look at our intents that we've got. We've got our devstream intent, and we've got tell me about channel. So channel is going to be the name of the streamer, basically. So Codebase Alpha, or Dev Chatter, or C# for it. And what it likes to do is have some example utterances. And so one of the things we might say, tell me about, or just to get it to list maybe what the streamer's tags are from the DevStreams database. So it might say Dev Chatter's tags are English, C#, JavaScript, Vue.js, whatever, web development, whatever, list out the tags, and we'll get it to say it in a nice conversational kind of way. But we do actually want to ask other things to do with schedules. So we might say, what exactly would we say? Dev Chatter's schedule. You see, the Dev Chatters might throw it out. So schedule for. So let's try that. Schedule for, and then we'll have channel, which is our slot. And so the slots are basically a variable. Okay, so the variable is going to be filled in basically. So we've got two utterances in there, so we can have two different things. One's going to come back with schedule information. One's going to maybe come back with other information, but both of them initially will come back with the same thing. Schedule for and tell me about will come back with the same response. The Hubmeister's in the room. Welcome, a Hubster. Good to see you. Will this work well with streams with interesting names? That's going to be the challenges. So the way I envision it working, Gareth, is that we will gather what the person says, and we'll try to match it with a name. So, for example, if we take we did build some in actually. Let's have a look at where we've got our that's our invocation live coding intents channel intents, and we need to give this some sample data, which I did think we'd done. So the slot here we are. So here we have the sample data. Now, how you set this up is that you provide as many words as a person could say and still be recognised. So if they can say one word in for the slot, or 2 words, or 3 words, or 4 words, or 5 words, you have to have examples which are that long. So, for example, we've got InstaFluff, so we might also break that to InstaFluff, but I think InstaFluff should be okay. But Clark.io, you notice I've split code rushed into two words: dev chatter, code base alpha, and then code base alpha. And one of the things that I was going to experiment with was different version of NoOpCat's handle. So NoOpCat here is one version, but we could actually have people say NoOpCat as well. And the way I envision it working is that what we'll do is we'll say what the person said back to them, but in the background we'll also we'll remove any spaces from the word. We'll also remove any full stops, because we might want to ask them to spell out the word. So if we don't understand, we might say try spelling it. So they could say CLARKIO, and we'll get that. That should come back in the slot. And then what we need to do is remove those dots, remove the spaces, and then sound exit. And then we can do a soundex search against the name of the channel in the DevStreams database. And also, what I'd like to do in the DevStreams database is actually hold a friendly name. Zujin, welcome back. You notice you've also got a VIP diamond next to your name. So as you were my very first follower, I've given you that as a token of appreciation to helping me on the way to becoming a Twitch affiliate. So I'm very happy to give you that. Okay, so yeah, fellow diamond. Yes, there's only a few diamonds. I've got 10 slots at the moment, and I think I've handed out 4 diamonds. So and 2 of them are to the same person. You can probably guess who that is. Okay, so we've got some sample utterances in here. We've got some sample slot values, and you can see what we did is we've got up to three different words. So code base alpha covers the three word options. Now you don't have to put all the possible values in here. Some people think you do. You don't. You just need to cover off the number of words. And what I'm hoping is, with, for example, if someone says NoOpCat, it'll almost certainly read that as new cat. I can't say how it wouldn't. So we give them the option to say NoOpCat. So NoOpCat may come through as NoOp and then CAT, but if we get rid of the spaces and we soundex that, that's going to be exactly the same soundex value as NoOpCat. NoobCat, yes, it could come back as NoobCat. In fact, it's quite likely in especially with the American accent, with maybe the P is not quite as formed as in English. Noob, it might come through as noob. So I'm not sure what soundex will do with that, but we'll find out when we actually start trying to link it up to the database. What I was saying, I also want to have DevChat put a column in his database of how Alexa should actually respond with that name. So if it is NoOpCat rather than NoopCat, then it will have contained the streamer's preferred pronunciation of their handle, of their channel name, so that we can grab that from the database and say that back. And that will also guide users in the future. If they say noopcat and we manage to get a match, it will come back and say no opcat streams on. Yeah, they're like synonyms, except we'll use the Soundex. Dolan, thank you very much for the follow. Wonderful to see you, and thank you for following. That's fantastic. So we're well on our way now towards our new 100 follower goal. As I was saying, the Soundex feature in SQL should allow us to get a good approximation. So we should get most matches. Obviously, only time will tell. It may turn out that this skill simply doesn't work because of accents and regional variations, or that people choose very difficult names for their streams. You know, we've got Instafluff. I think that should be okay. No opcat is one that's more difficult, but we have some people who have, you know, very difficult to work out names. Like Zunjin there. I don't know if you had a stream whether we would be able to match it, but I think once again with Soundex we might be able to. Because it does, you know, with that X in front there having a Z sound, we should be able to do it. But we'll see. Only time will tell. Okay, so what we want to do now is go back to our web API. We want to handle the intent, the skill intent, and this time it's going to be a skill intent which is going to respond with some information about the schedule of the channel requested. So that would be schedule for, or tell me about, and we're also going to cope with these 5 built-in intents, which basically are built in by Amazon, and we have to kind of handle them. Then only time will tell. Yes. So maybe I should put that as a quote. Do you think, Zunjin, is that the idea there? A bit like I swear it's not rigged. Yeah. Okay, so let's go back to Visual Studio and have a look at that. So we need to be in our Alexa controller. So let's get rid of the value controller. So the Alexa controller, it's got a to-do here that we need to make sure that this is intended for us. The request that comes in is intended for us. And so the reason for that is at the moment we're kind of wide open, really, that somebody could write a skill, and please don't do this, and point it at my endpoint, and it would be consumed by this API. Probably wouldn't make much sense, but you could do it. So we need to have some mechanism in there for making sure that the request came from the skill that we assume it did come from. What we're going to do there is we're going to use Azure Key Vault. I've already set Azure Key Vault up and put the secret in there because obviously I don't want you to see it. But we're going to go through how that was done, and also then we're going to put the code in to read that out. We may have to kind of hide the screen while I check that it actually works, but we'll see. Okay, so let's have a quick look at what else we need to do. So we've got this switch statement here, and you can see that we've got this launch request. So it's going to say welcome to the DevStream skill. What we need to do is actually have a different case in here, and this is going to be for an intent request. So the intents are what we've coded back over here. This is the intent, and currently the sample utterances for the intent are looking for, they're going to be keyed off someone saying schedule for or tell me about, and then there's going to be this variable slot here of channel. Okay, so what we'll break all this into individual methods shortly, but let's initially handle the intent. So we're going to get a response. So we're going to generate a response, and we're going to have an intent request handler. And we're going to pass the actual request in. So that's the Alexa request. break. Okay, so let's build this. So we get our private method. So there's a couple of other, there's at least one other request type we're going to have to handle, and that's the session ended request. There's another one as well. We'll go back to the website and check those out and set those up. But let's get some more interesting things rather than writing JSON conversions and things like that. We can come back to that. So let's implement this method then. So let's create a variable intent response. I'll set that to null initially. We might not need to do that, but we'll see. No, what we'll do is we'll pull that out of the request. So we've got a Alexa request, and inside that we have a request body, and because we've hit this intent request, we know that that request body is going to be of type. So the request, that's the response. So if we go to the request body is here, and we've got it's of type. Yeah. So how we? So I don't know if you remember how we dealt with this. What we've got is a request type converter, and so we look at what's actually inside the request, and then we populate. We create an instance of either a launch request or an intent request, and using that we can actually identify the type. We can actually cast it to a proper type rather than having an indeterminate type or a generic type. Generic in the word of general rather than using generic. So if we can cast that as a, we called it an intent request. We can probably put some safety code around that to make sure it can be cast first, but let's just assume it can at the moment, because we actually have determined that it is of type intent request here by looking interrogating the type variable which is on the request body. Okay, so we've got that. Right. So this intent could contain several things. So Hubster, can you have type interface iRequest body? You can do, and that's what we do in the response when we're building the response. But when the request comes in and we need to convert, we need to serialize that, deserialize that from JSON into an object. And the best way to do that is to actually use the type converter features within the Newtonsoft.json package. So that's what we're doing. If we just quickly pop over to the type request type converter, we look at what the type is, create a new whatever the type, so launch request or intent request, and we'll build this out, and then we actually feed that back. We create it here. We get a subtype back, and then we use this. We handed a serializer in on this override, and that serializer has a populate method on it, and we basically read the contents of the JSON object, and we then populate the subtype with those values. So that all kind of happens within this populate method, so it's all handled for us, and it's a lot better than using. We could use interfaces, but there's no need, because we're actually interested in concrete types at this point. When we're actually creating a response, we're more interested in the flexibility that we have with that, in order to have different types occupying the same slot in the JSON, if you were. So that's why we do that. I probably haven't explained that very well, but you'll see as we go along. We'll go through and do some recaps on some of the code design, and make sure that the people it's supposed to be beginner friendly, and it's we kind of I did code it all from scratch, but it's not exactly a beginner level concept, that type converter within JSON. But hopefully, if there's any more questions about it, we'll probably cover another stream where we actually go through and actually go through the mechanisms again. So let's have a switch statement here. And we're looking in our intent response. There will be a name, an intent name in there. So you can see we've got intent, and then we've got a name. So if we go back to the requests, here's the intent request, and you can see, so the intent, you see it's got a name. So that's what we'll be basically picking up. Let's go back to our controller. So we want to switch on the name of the intent. Now the first one we want to cover, of course, is our custom intent, and we can create any number of intents. This is .NET Core 2.2, and it's NewtonSoft.json, Gareth. So we're not using 3, and we're not using the built-in JSON that .NET 3's got. I've not investigated anything about that. And I'm not sure what the features are, so I'm a bit more comfortable with the NewtonSoft.json package. I think every time I've downloaded it, we've checked on the number of downloads of that NuGet package, and I think last time I looked, it was 192 million downloads. And I'm sure if I go now, it'll have gone up by several million. So you know, it's a very widespread package. I think it might take a little while for the .NET Core 3 JSON implementations to overtake that. So yeah, trying to stay comfortable and also not push the boundaries too much. 2.2 is not in preview. We're it's a released package with .NET Core 3 still perhaps in flux. I didn't really want to introduce that. I know that you're using that, and you know, you're pretty brave to do so. We've used preview software at work, and it's never been the fantastic experience because of the constant change. When I originally got into .NET Core, I built a couple of applications at work for internal use in it's brave's one word, in .NET Core 1.1, and when I came to convert those to 2, I had a real game because even the tooling stopped recognizing it. It was a bad experience. So luckily, going between 2.1 and 2.2 has been extremely easy, and I'm sure it's going to be, you know, relatively easy for 3. I think .NET Core 3, isn't that a VS 2019 as well? In .NET Core, the shared framework, they have plans to remove NewtonSoft.json. Yeah. Yes. Well, we'll see. 192 million downloads. That's all I can say. We'll see what happens with that. So we've got the dev streams intent, which is our custom intent. That's the name, dev streams. It's the name of our intent. So if I just quickly pop back to the site, you can see that dev streams is the name of our intent. There's the title there. Oops. We don't want to leave. Okay. So when that happens, when we get one of those, we want to get a response, and that's going to be we're going to have a dev streams response handler. And we pass the intent in there, the intent request. Intent request. So this should actually say intent request, not response. We're not building the response yet. So we're going to need to have one of those. Let's get it to create that. Oh, my typing has gone all to pot. Maybe this glass of red wine that's on my desk shouldn't be there. Okay, so we'll handle it there. Okay, and that needs to be a lowercase. So we're going to just pass. We're going to delegate that processing of that onto a new method. typing on stream never works. No, it doesn't. Getting much done on stream never works either. Planet Cause intended. Yes, it's VS 2019. So Gareth, you must be using or 2019, but probably not the version that A Hubster then has suggested, which is VS 20,219. That's a pretty futuristic version. Hopefully you don't get that far. I'm hoping that we'll have code that writes itself by then. Basically, the users describe what they want, and then it magically appears automatically. VS Code. Okay, right. And the release candidate for 2019. Okay. Well, you're slightly braver than I am to do that on stream. I must admit, I wouldn't use it. I know that the Hubmeister's had a few difficulties with it at work. So let's continue with this case statement. So now we need to look at handling some of those Amazon intents. So let's go and have a look at what those were called, because I can't remember. So we've got cancel and stop, which sound like the same thing. We've got help, navigate home intent, and fallback intent. So I'm not really too sure what fallback intent and navigate home intent do. So we'll have to go and look that up. We've got a link by the look of it here, hopefully anyway. But I think with cancel and stop, they're saying the same. That's when you say to Alexa stop, and then help presumably gives some help information. So we can cope with those three for the moment, I think. Let's pop back over here. So what was it called? I've forgotten already what it was called. So Amazon.cancel and Amazon.stop intent. Okay. And then there was help intent. So Amazon.stop intent. We'll handle cancel under the same handler. Okay, so response cancel or stop, request handler, response handler. And we'll pass in the intent request as well again. Okay, let's lowercase r again. Right. And we'll create that. So we're going to need to define response up here. So the response is going to be of type Alexa response. We set it to null, then we're going to push it back from these methods. So we'll break there. And then we want a case of Amazon help intent. How's the audio, by the way? Am I coming through okay? Someone could let me know. So response, and we want a help intent response handler. Pass the intent request again. Oops, and it seems to be choosing the wrong one each time. So let's make sure we correct that. There we go. So we know there's going to be some other ones that could come through, but we'll kind of handle those in a bit when we can figure out what they are. Yes, I'm a space nut, Draco. Yes. Yes. So the subscriber badge is going to be a rocket, and I don't know if you've seen over in the Discord, I've got a subscriber emote that's been done for me. The first one of several. It's a little space alien for a hype. So hopefully those will become available shortly. Now that we are affiliate, we do get some slots for custom emotes and badges and things. So yeah, hopefully those will be available soon. If you do feel the desire to subscribe, obviously there's no pressure to do that. I'm not in this to make any money. I don't think you can make an awful lot of money from live coding yet. I know some people do make an awful lot of money. I know from streaming, but not many live coders do. Yeah, so the idea of this stream is really to try and give something back to the development community, and just provide some kind of service, provide some kind of niche service that maybe other streamers don't cover. So I don't think I've seen Alexa skill built on stream, but I may have done. Someone may have done it, but maybe they haven't done it the way I'm doing it, which is trying to look at it from a very kind of not beginner's the wrong word, but from doing it from scratch, getting the nuts and bolts and understanding how it works and how it interacts, rather than just downloading a NuGet library. We all download these things and it's great, but I wanted the streams to kind of approach it from a slightly different angle of trying to explain, or at least investigate how it works under the covers. So I'm a data guy. The Hubster will say to you that I'm not a front end person. Yeah, handmade. There's always when I'm at work, there's always consternation if I start writing JavaScript or start fiddling around with UI, because that's not my forte. So we're going to return the response here. Yes, so I like data. I like integration. I like the kind of stuff that other people don't like, which is quite good because I've got some great people who can write good UI and front end code. You don't do front end either. You'd love to only work with from the API. Yes, I think I like doing APIs, and I like services, and I like data, and I like interrogating data. Not necessarily using SQL, but using SDKs and web services to interrogate data. So we work a lot with Dynamics 365 at work. So that's it. Bootstrap for the win. Yeah. Yes. Oh, you were working with Webpack. Right. I bet that was interesting. Yeah, I find that all quite amusing. The way that all the shims and the translation of features of JavaScript ES5, ES6, isn't it? And then you have to transpile it back to ES5 because most browsers don't cope with it. It all seems a bit, it's all a bit fragile in many. I mean, sure it does work. Some very smart people have worked on it, and I know the JavaScript runtime engine is super optimized, and I know that people are getting very excited about Blazor, but it's not going to be as performant, at least for a long time, as JavaScript running on the JavaScript engine. So no more Webpack. Yeah, I think I'm with you, Gareth, but I think Adam is going to. He's a front end guy, so he likes all that kind of stuff. Angular, I think, is Adam's poison. So. TypeScript as well, yes. I'd like to get into some TypeScript. Now, TypeScript interests me in that it seems to me to take away some of the randomness of JavaScript. And I've been reading quite a lot about JavaScript recently. I've got a series of books called You Don't Know JS, and they're very interesting. They're kind of the nuts and bolts of JavaScript. It's quite interesting. Some very smart people worked on it. It started off as a mess. And even though it's retained all the messy parts, they are obviously trying to kind of screw it down to be a really good language. And you can do front end, back end work with it. It's very, very versatile. And if you look, and you got to go to Mark Miller's stream, Code Rushed, to see the absolutely phenomenal things you can do with it. I'm absolutely blown away every time I go onto that stream. It's absolutely amazing. Anyway, let's get back to doing some of this code. So we need a help. we need to generate a help method here. There we go. Okay. So let's do the help first. So so we need to create a response. So we would do a new response builder. And we're going to say, let's say back to the user. Well, we won't put in the final content into here. Yeah, that async and performance book from You Don't Know JS. I haven't got that one. It's the one I haven't got. So I've been reading the one that talks about, it defines what this is in it's this and prototypes, I think the book is called. It defines how you know what this is in JavaScript. Yeah, that's kind of it says it all. So all the different rules dependent on the core site determines what this is, and that's a very interesting choice of design, really. But so we'll say, I don't know, to use this skill, ask me about the schedule of your favorite stream. We'll just leave it at that. And what we'll do is come back at some point and we'll work out what we actually really want to say. Better get some more information, I suppose. You can also say, Alexa, stop to exit the skill. Okay. Let's oh dear, got into a bit of a mess there. Okay, so there we are. To exit, not exist. Okay, so that's a bit of help text, and we can return that. And we'll try this out in a second. So what else do we want to do? Return response. Oh, we forgot again. And we got to, of course, with the builder pattern, we need to actually invoke build to get our response. So there we are. So that's it. So cancel stop. Let's just copy this. Let's just give a nice goodbye message. So we could say something like, thanks for using the dev streams skill. Okay, so that's cancel or stop, and now we want to actually process a real intent. Stallpenner, good to see you. Have you been streaming yourself? Okay, so let's get rid of that and let's have a look what we can do here. Okay. So we're going to need to extract our slot. So we need to know the name of the streamer. So the slot is in the request. So if we go to the intent here, where we got it up here? No, Let's open the intent. You can see we've got a dictionary of slots as part of our intent. So that's what we want to look at, and we want to look for the channel slot, line 76. Oh yes, thank you very much for that. Okay, thank you. So a code review there from a hubster, thank you. Okay, so let's extract. So we need to know if there's any slots at all, I guess, because it could be there's no slots. If there isn't any slots, then we're going to have to go back. We have to go back to the user and start this dialogue, which we'll get to probably next time. We're trying to build dialogues, but we've got an intent request that's come into our method, and what we've got on there, we've got the intent is on there, and we should have slots, and we're going to see if there's anything on there. Fuel Snable's still in the chat. He'll probably chime in saying it'd be more efficient to use count equals 0, and I agree. I don't really mind which one we use. We're going to use any on the kind of expressiveness side, but count equals 0 is just as good. No code review would be failed in my view whether you use any or count equals 0. Right, so if there are some slots, then we want to extract. So that would be the channel slot. So let's set up a variable of channel. We'll set it to some default value, some streamer. Why should any account have different execution times? Well, I think Fuel Snable is going to go and decompile the code and see if it actually did have any different execution path. I think we started off at thinking that it might do, and then I think it says back on Dev Chatter stream they were thinking that perhaps it didn't, that it actually just short-circuited it anyway and didn't bother looking at the count, so it didn't do things twice. Okay, so channel. So the channel is going to be in our Alexa request, our intent request, sorry, and it's inside the intent. It's intent slots. This is a dictionary, so the key is going to be the name of the slot, and this is going to be channel. And we'll put this kind of thing in constants and sort out the kind of the niceties a bit later on. All I'll do is get something working. So yeah, we're going to do the kind of minimum to get it working, and then we'll come through, refactor it. We'll make sure that we do a try to get the key and all that kind of nice stuff, but at the moment we're not going to worry about it too much. And we're probably going to build a lot more methods to handle different scenarios when we've got different numbers of slots, and certainly when we need to have a dialogue with the user to go back and say, well, what did you mean? We didn't understand. Stack Overflow post says in general, stick with any. Okay, that's good to know. So we're using the right thing. Okay. So the best way we can go about doing some sample data. What we'll do initially, I'm just going to produce a generic response. So what we're going to is say back the name of the streamer or the name of the channel back to the user. And that will give us an idea of how it's working out in terms of what it sounds like what, like, rather than seeing it in text, although you might not be able to hear it, what actually it sounds like when Alexa reads you what you said back to you. So let's simply say, so response, oops, equals new response builder. So sorry about this. I seem to have great difficulty typing at the moment. So we're going to create a new response builder, and we're going to say we're going to do a bit of string interpolation. We say you have asked about, I will just put the channel name back in there, and their schedule, and we'll do a dot build on that. Tidy it up a bit, and we'll return that response. Okay. What's it complain about here? So it's complaining that cannot implicitly convert type object. So if I forgot to build, no, not building them. Okay, response. Oh, these are object type. It couldn't work out what when it built the methods for me. It didn't work that out. So there we go. That's better. All right. So let's see what Alexa makes of all that. So we'll do a right click publish again. Let's go and have a sip of wine. It's very civilized. Streaming or watching streaming with a nice big glass of red wine by you. I'd highly recommend it. So that's being published up to Azure. So on my Azure site, what I do is I have a B1 app services plan running, but I only run that during stream. So when I finish streaming, I close that down. I scale that back down to a free tier, and also I switch off the website or the web service, which means that my $150 is going to £150 of credit is going to last me all 30 days that it does last. But I'm probably going to only use about £2 of it in that time, so it's a bit of a waste. But I could leave it running all the time, but I'll see what's the point. Okay. So so it's asking for sample utterances for help, so we may need to provide some. I don't know. So we're going to save our model. We're going to build our model. Let it build. And then we're going to test it, and we'll see what happens. Now, if we don't get much joy using the test module, what I'll do is when I take a short break, I'll run an extension cable to the desk and plug in the Echo that's sitting next door, which is actually listening to my voice right now and actually does respond. And it might be loud enough for you to hear. You have to tell me if it is or isn't. Okay, let's go to the tests. Okay, so we'll give it a go. So build is successful. Yeah, let's go back to our build first. I'm just thinking how I'm going to phrase my my query, and I think we're going to we're going to remove tell me from there and just say about. This is where a lot of the interaction design comes in. You need to start thinking about how you're going to interact with your users, and I'm going to have to do quite a bit of reading about this. When is channel streaming? Certainly, that's what we want to say. Who's live now? That kind of thing. That's exactly the kind of thing we want to say. So what we'll build up a kind of vocabulary of questions, and it should be relatively simple to do, but it can get quite complicated. And what we do, you can see there's a JSON editor here. What we'll do, and once we start getting really complicated JSON structure being built up, we'll grab this and save it back into our project. So we'll have a what tend to call it an asset for the speech, where we've got a copy of our model living back inside our project, so that it can go into source control. Because the last thing, at the moment, I could lose all this if something happened to this the server that this is running on and it wasn't backed up. I don't know how it all works on the Amazon side, how resilient this is, but if it did all go, we'd lose all of our work that we're doing. And at the moment, it's very much in test, and there's not much going on. But if we start building up complicated models, it could be quite devastating to lose it all. Okay, let's give it another go. Alexa, ask live coding to tell me about dev chatter.
There was a problem with the requested skills response.
Okay, so it didn't respond properly. So let's try another. Yeah, slower. We'll try it slower. Alexa, ask live coding about dev chatter.
There was a problem with the requested
so it doesn't like what's coming back. So what are we sending to it? Let's have a look at this code here. Session end request. Okay, so it looks like we need to handle the session ended request. We're not handling that at the moment. Okay, so session ended. Oh, do we really need to handle it? I'm not sure. I'm not sure we should. Okay. Let's go back and have a look at our code. Where are we? Elector Controller. So I wonder if this is. I wonder if we've got we're getting a null request. Our request won't be null, but our intent might be, I suppose. Let's try intent request is not null. Then we do this part of it. We can return the null response. Okay, let's give it a go and see what happens. Yeah, it's not telling me an awful lot about what wrong, but we'll be able to put some tracing in at some point. So let's publish this again and see what happens. We'll make sure the launch intent works as well still. And then we'll try a help actually. So that's publishing. Okay, we don't need to leave that open. Okay. Voice and tone, what's nice. It's just, we can type in JSON there. We can actually type in, let's try, no, it's interpreting our input quite well, apart from the chapter business. Alexa, ask live coding for help.
To use this skill, ask me about the schedule of your favorite stream. You can also say Alexa stop to exit the skill.
So that bit worked okay. Alexa, open live coding. Alexa, stop. So I think the stop part then is to do with when we're actually in a dialogue. So that's not going. So we're not going to be able to get anywhere with this. Let's try the invocation again with our dev streams utterances. Alexa, ask live coding about Codebase Alpha. Yeah, it's not happy.
There was a problem with the requested skills response.
Okay. I wonder what the issue is. Let's go back to our build area. Now, we should be able to. What's code? No, that's not what we want. There should be a way of testing the slots. So let's quickly check this. So schedule for. That looks okay. Edit dialogue. Is this slot required to fill the intent? Yes, it is. This is where we get it so that if you don't fill the slot, it can come back. This is this is where we get into a dialogue and you get your validations. Okay, so we don't want to go that far yet. Slot types, channel. We actually had this bit working, but what we weren't probably doing is trying to interpret into an intent. So let's go back and have a look at our code and see what we can see what's going on. So Elector Controller. So we're getting an intent request in. So let's detect whether we're getting a let's see if we can detect whether we're getting an intent request at all. So what we'll do is copy that down into there. I'll just comment out that line, and here we'll say I received an intent request. So we'll see if we get as far into here. It's a bit strange debugging, but we'll see. So let's publish that up. If we don't get anywhere just by replacing this, what I can do is put some trace lines in, and we can see how far we get through the process, because I've got logging on in Azure, and we should be able to wade our way through the logs in Azure and see what's going on. Okay. So let's save and build the model just in case we made any changes which have an effect. Yeah, we can get a bit better than console log, I think, but it might take a bit of thought. So we're building now. There we are, built. Oh, here's the utterance profiler. Let's have a quick look at that. So, Alexa, ask live coding about my Amazon Echo is listening to every word I say, and it's now talking away, chattering away about controlling the heating. So let's see what that. Okay, so that is actually picked up our channel, so it's, we can be reasonably sure that that we're getting the channel out, and it looks like the intent it's going to match to is about dev chatter, which is what we want. So that looks okay. So theoretically, when we say that, it should split dev chatter into a slot, and it should match with about dev chatter. So let's go back once again to our test. Alexa, ask live coding about dev chatter.
I received an intent request.
So we are hitting that. So our little kind of voice debugging did say we did actually go into our intent. So we should have hit the this intent request handle and pass the Alexa request in. Now we probably wanted to pass. Okay. Yes. So we pull the intent out there. So let's reinstate that rather. Okay, and take it step by step. What we'll do is we pulled out the request body as an intent request there, and what we're going to do is we're going to build a response. Let's comment this out, and the response is going to be I received an intent request, and then we'll just pass in the name of the intent, which is this here. So new response builder. Spell it correctly. Okay, so let's see what comes back now when we publish this up. Mapping issue, it could be a mapping issue, yeah. We just need to kind of step through and see exactly at what point it's getting confused, because it looks like everything kind of works. It's just that when we pulled out the intent, it didn't know where to go, so it didn't match any of those switch statements, and then it went off to it returned null. So I think that's what's going on. So we've published OK. Let's try again then. It said Denver. Look, dev chatter doesn't like dev chatter, does it? Alexa, ask live coding about code base alpha.
I received an intent request Amazon fallback intent.
Okay, so that's the problem. It hit the fallback intent and didn't pick up dev streams. That's very interesting. So we've learned something. The fallback intent. Okay. About alpha. Didn't pick up code base, did it there? So dev streams is all one word. That's the name of our intent. We should be okay. We should be able to pick that up, I'd have thought. So what have we got back here? Right, we're looking for dev streams. It's obviously not matching that, is it? We'd have thought it would do, because when we went back to our utterance modeling that we had up here, seems to have vanished. Oh, we've hit the invocation, the utterance profiler. Then when we said ask live coding about dev chatter, oh, it's in lowercase. That's probably it, isn't it? I was just copying the case of the name of the skill. So let's remove this. We'll comment that out for now. We might need it. Okay, so let's build that and give it a go. So I haven't got quite as far through this as I'd hoped today. But if this works, we'll call it a day, and then I'll look at the things I wanted to look at, which was a bit more security in the custom middleware in ASP.NET Core next time. So that we've published. Let's go back to our test area. Okay, do you think it's going to work? Do you think it's going to work? Let's see. We'll type it initially. So let's see what happens.
You have asked about chatter and their schedule.
So we got somewhere. So it said chatter rather than dev chatter. So let's try a bit more. So it may be that we haven't got our sample utterances worked out properly, but let's try another one. Alexa, ask live coding about no op cat.
You have asked about cat and their schedule.
So it said no cat. So interesting. My Alexa, my Echo actually responded a bit better than saying cat. It said op cat. So we're actually getting somewhere, I think. Let's try once more with. I'll be using InstaFluff. I think it tends to get InstaFluff right. Let's try again. Alexa, ask live coding about InstaFluff.
There was a problem with the requested skills response.
Interesting. Alexa, ask live coding about InstaFluff.
Sorry, something went wrong.
So we're not getting very far, are we? Oh dear. Let's try once more, and I think if this doesn't quite work out, then we'll tackle it next time, because it's now 10:30 and I've pretty much reached the end of my allocated slot. So hang on a second, let's try once more. Who should we ask about? We'll try Gareth. Alexa, ask live coding about Gareth Hubble.
You have asked about a goal in their schedule.
So this test system said a goal, and my Amazon Echo said football. But at least it's getting there. We're actually hitting our intent now, and what we need to do is refine our sample utterances so that it actually doesn't keep getting them wrong. So I'm going to call it a close there. We've been going for a little over an hour and a half, so not quite as long a stream as I'd like, but this is pretty much an impromptu stream, so I do apologise for that. All the code that we've written will be on. We'll push it up to GitHub now, so that so it's up there. So it's on GitHub. So I'll post the. This is episode 6 changes. I'll post the URL for our GitHub. Actually, it's on there now. Nightbot just supplied it, so we'll commit that and we'll sync that up to the repo up in GitHub. So that's there in a few seconds. That's there now. So if you want to go and have a look at that code, please do. If you want to submit a pull request, fork the repository, and go ahead and do so. We're probably not in a position to do an awful lot in the way of pull requests yet, but we should soon be able to accept them. So if you'd like to follow the stream, please hit the follow button and be notified of future streams. The next stream will be 9 o'clock on Monday. That is our pretty much firmed up schedule for that day. And then the second day and perhaps an optional third day, I haven't quite figured out yet, but I'm targeting Wednesday, but it might be an early stream rather than a late stream. In the UK, we're now at 10:30 in the evening, so this counts as a late stream for me. So we may go for an earlier stream, say about 4 or 5 o'clock on the Wednesday, in order to make sure I don't want to kind of clash with other streamers that I follow. So make sure we try and kind of spread people out so there's someone every day. And Wednesday does seem a day where there are streamers who do stream, I know, but there's not many that I actually personally follow that stream on that day. And Friday is another day I find which is free, but Friday would be very difficult for me to actually schedule because of personal reasons. So if you want to follow me, please press the follow button. We've had a couple of follows today, for which I'm extremely grateful. If you want to follow me on Twitter, then @CodebaseAlpha to be notified via that mechanism. And also I do post some things up there. We do have a Discord. So I'll just post the URL to be invited into our Discord. Oops, that's the wrong place to type it. So Discord. There we go. So join Codebase Alpha Discord for extra chat for space news. I don't know if you realise there's a bot running in the chat. So let's just have a quick look at upcoming space launches. We've got a launches command, and the next thing we've got. Oh, Harold Serrano, thank you so much for the follow. That's most appreciated. You will now be notified when we go live next. So our launches command shows that the Falcon Heavy launch with Arabsat 6A, which I'm very much looking forward to, has now slipped to April the 1st, which is quite ironic, April Fool's Day. But that's going to be fantastic. I'd actually got out of bed at 7:30 on Saturday and watched the launch of the Crew Dragon, and then I also watched the docking and the opening of the hatch when the Crew Dragon docked with the space station over the weekend. And actually today I believe they've closed the hatches and it should be undocking and splashing down overnight. So there'll be some more videos to watch of that splashdown and recovery, which should be very good. So the excitement there is that the Crew Dragon capsule has these Super Draco thrusters on it, which are kind of make the base of the capsule asymmetric, or it's not a perfect cone. It's got kind of sticky out bits where the Super Draco escape thrusters are, and Elon Musk has said that that's kind of their main concern. How's that going to behave through re-entry? So that's going to be very interesting to watch and see what happens. But so far, it's been a fantastic success, and I posted a video on the Discord by Scott Manley, which kind of covers the whole kind of process of the docking and what went on there, which is quite good. Space Nut, self-confessed, watched the moon landings as a child, and I think we're in equally as exciting times now. Not quite, I guess, we're not going to the moon yet, but with what SpaceX is doing and their marvelous landing rockets and building rockets that look like something out of Buck Rogers or out of Flash Gordon, I think is wonderful. Okay, so I'm going to close off now. Thank you for everyone who's watched. It's been a fun night. We've still got a long way to go with this skill to get it to work as we want, but I think what we're going to do is give up on using the tester as our primary method. We're going to bring an echo onto the desk and use that, because I don't know if you were hearing the responses from the computerized echo there, the tester. It seems to be a bit more accurate, but we'll use that to examine response JSON that comes back. We're going to build a bit of security in, so we're going to make sure that the request is coming from our application, and to do that we're going to have to use a secret key, which is currently stored in Azure Key Vault. So we'll look at how we actually access Azure Key Vault, and how we authorize a web application to go into our Key Vault without having to reveal any secrets on stream. And then we're also going to look at certification requirements for the skill, and we're going to build some custom middleware for the middleware pipeline in ASP.NET Core. And interesting enough, it's going to be a piece of middleware which is optional. It's like a branch which comes out and then goes back into the main pipeline. So it's not like a straight pipeline thing. It's something a bit different. So it should be quite interesting to do. So good night, everybody, and happy coding.